Yes, so that is the governing New Patriotic Party, national officials in Parliament, raising issues about the outstanding seat. But here in Parliament, yes, of course, I can tell you that for the first time in a long while, both minority, majority, both NDC and MPP are in the chamber. First of all, let me engage Samson Ahim before I come to Honorable Cletus Avoka, whom we engage on a number of occasions, given the brouhaha that characterized the last meeting. But Honorable Body was up for discussion. There were many who thought you were going to lose your seat. Did you also harbor some fear that you were going to lose your seat?
Not at all.
What made you so confident?
Not at all. I knew I was going to win because of the work I have done in the past when we were in government and even when we were in opposition. I was on the ground. I mean, what I've done in the constituency, the MPP cannot match me. So in terms of development, in terms of my character, my attitude towards the people, my behavior towards the people, the respect I have for my constituents, and the respect that I use when I'm working is something which is unmatched. And so there was no way MPP was going to defeat me because, in terms of development, they haven't done anything in my constituency. So when it comes to campaign on development, there was no way they can match me. When it comes to character, there was no way their candidates can match me. And so from the word go, I knew that I was going to win. And if you look at the results compared to 2020, you realize that this time around, my figures went up.
Because MPP people did not vote, we are told.
That's not true. They voted, but that's the best they can do.
Yeah. Honorable Chumberima is here. Let him join us to balance it. So you said that your vote appreciated.
Yes.
The MPP said it's because their people did not vote.
That's not true. Their people voted. I've been saying that if you go to Ashanti region, anybody who claims that their people didn't vote, it's not true reflection on the ground. If you look at when we went for the by-elections in Ejiso and Kumawu, it's not different from the turnout in the general elections. The difference is that they have the register in the Ashanti region has been bloated. So they always rake the elections. This time around,
what he said is not
we put mechanisms in place to check them, and so they couldn't have their way to, increase figures.
Okay.
That was what accounted for their reason. But what is on the ground is what reflected in the outcomes of the elections.
Well, I'll come to the Zabila MP briefly, but then Paul Chumberima, Doma East. What happened? You are live on GHOne.
Clearly, it's about Ghanaians taking a decision. Ghanaians took a decision. They felt they want to change government, and they've changed government. Obviously, this is not the first time a government have lost power, and you wouldn't say that it's because somebody bloated register some time back or not. The decision, the power is for Ghanaians, and they choose who will lead them at a point in time. At this point, they felt that, okay, they want the NDC led by John Mahama to come and take over. And I don't think you come and say because somebody is bloating people or not. Today is your turn. Tomorrow it will be someone. So you don't need to try to muddy the waters now. What matters now is that will they deliver on their promises?
Will they?
We will pray and support them as Ghanaians. But they should now see how they make sure that Ghanaians believe what they said, and they're going to deliver for Ghanaians. That's what they should think about. Whether somebody bloated, whatever it is, of course, we've accepted our defeat. We have put our pieces together. We're going to soldier on. We're going to come back stronger than ever. But what they should know is that will they deliver? Can they match up to the free SHS? Can they match up to the Agenda 111? Can they match up to 1D, 1F? Can they match up to the things that we've done? That's what they should think about. Obviously, I heard Honorable Setekpe praising the economy, that he has seen some recovery of the economy. We are happy about that, knowing very well that some people started it. So clearly, they can't come and take credit for recovery of economy. They know It was bouncing back before they came. So, I mean, we will say that, I mean, clearly, it's a lesson for everybody. We are going to put ourselves together. We're going to come back stronger again. And MPP is always, the winning symbol is an elephant, and it doesn't go down.
Well, you talked about Ghanaians voting for change, and that seems to be the overwhelming wave that's swept. Is that what you attribute your loss to for Doma East? What really happened?
I mean, clearly, you will say that it's part of it. The wind of change is broad, so you can't take yourself out. Clearly, Ghanaians took a decision across the country. The 16 regions saw a massive change. And therefore, Pochum Burma, being a Ghanaian, being part of the New Patriotic Party, also experienced it. But obviously, Domais know that we're going to come back. Because what they said they're going to do, in 4 years, we can confidently tell Ghanaians that they will not be able to do it.
And that's to say you are mounting a comeback.
Oh, the New Patriotic Party will come back stronger. The New Patriotic Party will take over the realms of this country and save our country from the hands of the people that they think they can do it.
So are you saying that it's just a wave, or you believe that your government did something wrong?
No, it's just, you know, let's appreciate the fact that Ghanaians have the thought of 8-year mandate, and it's something have come to stay. So regardless of whatever you do, what did John GHOne didn't do for this country? I mean, Nana Akufo-Addo, what has it been done? But it's 8 years, and Ghanaians believe it's 8 years. And that's what they are thinking. As a party, we will go and sit back, go through whatever has happened, do a proper introspective, and then come back and see where we went wrong.
All right. So, yeah, Zabila MP is here with me. He was part of those people who wrote the Constitution. The issue of the constitutional review has come up strongly, given the absolute numbers in Parliament for his side going into next year. First of all, in your constituency, even though you were not on the ticket, your party has retained your seat. John Dramani Mahama won massively. In the coastal jurisdiction, there were some polling stations where the NPP flag bearer recorded 0. Why?
Why? Because for the past 8 years, and particularly the last 4 years, the Kusau area, the Boko area, had been under siege by the NPP. For the past 4 years in particular, the NPP had witnessed or superintended the scheme of a rival chief to the Boko Naba. The Boko Naba is a Kusasi man. He's been there since 1984. He was there during the Rawlings era PNDC. He survived the Rawlings NDC, that is the Fourth Republic, 8 years. He survived Kufuor's 8 years. He survived Atamis and John Mahama 8 years. Why is it that Nana Akufo-Addo Mbomwe, they have supervised the enskinment by the Nigeria of a rival chief to the Kusasis? And this has angered the people. This has affected their identity. And the Kusasi are suffering from identity crisis. Everywhere a traditional leader has an ethnic group behind him. That is why Nigeria is there for Mampurugu. So the Boko Naba Zugran is there for Kusasis. Why a Mampuruse man? So the Kusasi decided that once they cannot go to war against the government, they will use their thumbprint and then vote massively against Bawumia and then the MPP to tell them, to give them a message that what they are doing in Boko is wrong.
Was it not because the voters were intimidated? Because we also understand that they were intimidated.
The minority, we are not in government. We don't control the army. We don't control the police. We don't control the security. And if we go to Boko now, so many soldiers, so many policemen all over the place, how can we intimidate anybody? Nobody was intimidated. The people, even MPP supported themselves, who are Kusasi, decided to vote against them, their party, because their party had taken a wrong decision. The party has supported an illegal chief to come into being. The government itself, I appreciate the MPP government, Nana. They say that Sida Abakri, whom Nigeria and Skin is a fugitive. He's an illegal chief. So if somebody is a fugitive and an illegal chief, what do you do? Cause his arrest, prosecute him, because he is the one bringing conflict to the area. So many young men and women are dying. Boko has become a ghost town. Young soldiers and police are there, lying there, waiting for nothing just because of one person. We are spending 6 million Ghana cedis every month or so just because of one man's interest. What Ghana is this? What country is this? What government is this?
We'll come to what's the way forward nationally.
Yes.
But for the Boko and the issues there,
yes.
What's the way forward for the new administration that's coming in?
Well, GHOne Mahama appreciates the issues. He has made public statement to the fact that there's a Bokunaba, an illegal chief. Bokunaba, his position is buttressed by a Supreme Court decision of 2003. That how many years ago? 21 years ago. You know, so GHOne Mahama is going to do the needful. He's going to make sure that nobody challenges the status of the Bokunaba. If you want to challenge the status of the Bokunaba, go to court. Once you don't go to court and there is a court decision in his favor, due process, the government of the day, head by GHOne Mahama, will make sure that he enforces the rule of law. He enforces due process in Boku. And that is going to happen.
As I mentioned, you have absolute numbers.
Yes.
Many are a bit apprehensive that you might abuse it.
No, we have learned from our experience. We know what Ghanaians stand for. They stand for good governance. They stand for accountability. They stand for incorruptibility, property and accountability. We are going to run, GHOne Mahama is going to run the next 4 years in accordance with those principles. So we are not going to take the mandate for granted. We are not going to abuse it. We are not going to use it to amend the Constitution unduly and unnecessarily. As a former member of the Defunct Consultative Assembly, I owe a lot of respect to that Constitution. And I've been saying our problem is not the Constitution per se. Our problem is not the Constitution per se. There are so many provisions in the Constitution that are honored more in breach than in practice. So many provisions in the Constitution are honored more in breach than in practice. There are so many provisions in the Constitution that we thought that it would be according to practice, good governance and the rest of them, and we are abusing it. So the problem is not the Constitution. Admittedly, there are some few articles in the Constitution that we should look at. There are some few areas that we should look at because it is a living document and has been living since 32 years ago. You can't live for 32 years without having wear and tear. In the areas of wear and tear, we'll make the necessary amendments.
We'll return to talk about whether you were surprised by the outcome, the general outcome. But they have the yes of the elections. Yeah, briefly. Yes, the member of parliament for KEA, Samuel Atamos. Yes. First of all, there was an onslaught for your seat. I was in your region a week before, and I could tell that there was an onslaught for your seat. Yes. How did you do it?
You see, there's the experience, and there's also the work that I had done over the 8 years. So yes, you could bring in money, you could tell all the lies, but the people knew what was going on. I don't think NPP realized the anger that people had, the disappointment that people had. So, it worked very well for me.
All right. So you're live on GHOne TV. Leader, let me engage your leader briefly. First of all, first time coming, and for the first time, the other side, MPP, NDC caucus, all on the floor of Parliament, no rancor, no bickering. Why is this so? Because the last time we left here, there were disagreements.
Well, I'm just coming from one of the transition meetings, so I've not entered the chamber yet. So you are telling me there's no rancor, there's peace. We thank God there's peace. So I will have to enter the chamber to know exactly what is going on.
But do you know where your side is sitting?
Do I know?
Where your side is sitting?
Well, I don't know what is happening in the chamber yet. When we get there, for the sake of the country, where there is available seat, we'll sit down and do whatever is required.
Your assessment of what we just witnessed about a week ago, your side has won an absolute majority. Did anything out of Saturday came to you as a surprise?
No, because we believe that the way President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia were governing with impunity, where dissenting voices were ignored, so much was going wrong. And when you say it, he calls you Sambalat and all sorts of names. The Ghanaian knew that we have chosen the path of democracy. The only way to punish them is through the ballot box. And so I'm not surprised at the result. I believe it's also a lesson to all political actors that you cannot take the people for granted. There will be a day of reckoning, and then they will make their voices heard. I'm sure it's a lesson that would go down in history, and perhaps, sadly, President Akufo-Addo will go down in history as probably one of the worst because of the nature of rejection of his party. It's a sad day, but the real challenge is yet to be known. the damage they have done to this economy, the institutions of state. Prior to the election, you saw how vast majority of the country were uncomfortable with the pronouncements of the courts, where the Chief Justice and others were basically acting as if whenever my colleague, the leader of the MPP caucus, appears at the court, he must get whatever he wants. All those things have been rejected by the people. They've given us a clear majority to be able to do things better and far better than the MPP.
Now, talking about that clear majority, there are concerns that this could be abused. You are a leader. What's the assurance that the absolute numbers you have will not be abused in the night?
It will not be abused. We would use the numbers responsibly to advance the cause of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Now, you just returned from a transition committee meeting. There are concerns about some contractors being paid. You are a sector player as well. Is there anything wrong with the fact that contractors have executed projects and they are being paid?
Well, if a contractor has actually executed project and is being paid, that is not a problem. I know that I saw a payment schedule in October where 10 contractors were paid. According to that document, one contractor was paid in excess of 1.7 billion cedis, where we have over 2,000 contractors. We will be happy if contractors who work are paid. Provided all those contracts are legitimate, the scopes are defined, that there's nothing wrong with it. The issue would be to look at those contracts that are not properly formed and whether we have derived value for money for those payments. That will be the concern. In
2016, we engaged you, and it was about a blanket halting of all Cocoa Road projects for an audit to be done. Yes. You argue that that is to blame for some of the projects, the roads that have stalled today. What would be your recommendation for your own administration relative to these contracts and the projects that have been executed?
There will be a policy document to be issued on behalf of the president regarding all these kind of things in every sector. And let's wait for those that policy document as to how we proceed with the activities of government that we are inheriting, whether it's free SHS, whether it's road construction, whether it's Agenda 111, there will be a clear policy document as to how we proceed with this.
Well, so Governor Kwame Agbodza, the leader of the NDC caucus, or as we say, majority chief whip, or minority chief whip, or chief whip, how should I describe it?
I am happy if you call me the Kwame Agbodza, the person representing the people of Adaklu. I'm satisfied with that one.
Okay, so the controversy is done and dusted with now. That's Governor Kwame Agbodza, Member of Parliament for Adaklu. So, Lily, that's how it is. If I take you to the chamber,
I am interested to know the business of the House today. What businesses are they considering today?
Well, so today being the very first day, we expect either a welcoming address from both leaders and the speaker's address as well. We expect what just happened on Saturday relative to the parliamentary and presidential elections to also get a mention. And then, of course, there are other items, about 22 of them, reason why the majority leader, Alexander Kwame Afenyomarkin, and his front bench wrote to the speaker, petitioning the speaker, requesting for an emergency recall. They include the free SHS bill and many other bills in the educational sector. They include the tax waivers as well as the Environmental Protection Agency Authority bill, among many others. What we know is that today the agenda will either be defined by what has happened before or what has happened at the polls moving forward. The NDC has, however, indicated that they are ready to take the expenditure in lieu of appropriation, and that's the budget for the first quarter of next year. They are equally ready to take some loan agreement because the loans will not be dispersed anytime soon. But then the tax waivers, they say no. Let me find out from Kwabena Minta Akando. Briefly, Lily, before I return to you, he had a fight of his life. First of all, yeah, Lily is at the studio.
Lily, okay,
yes,
okay,
Lily
okay. Lily, good morning.
You were fighting virtually everybody at the point, the EC, the police. The only people you were not fighting will be the voters. What happened?
I mean, I have to correct the records. Mm-hmm. The whole government machinery and everybody was rather fighting me. Okay. I was not fighting them. Okay. But the will of God has prevailed. In my case, I don't know whether it was only Gaboso constituency the election was taking place. 3 weeks to the election, they moved my district electoral officer. 3 weeks to the election. And you know, Jaboso is such a terrain that if you come there, it must take you more than 5 months before you can even familiarize yourself with the terrain. As if that was not enough. Immediately that EC was moved, what we realized was that most of the polling station or the electoral officers were MPP delegates. So we took their delegate list and we're comparing it with the list that has been pasted on the Electoral Commission's notice board. So we made a press conference and we petitioned the EC to delete their names from it. Then, 8 days to the election, my district commander was also moved to go to, they say they call a place a quartermaster store, from district command to the quartermaster store at Sehurioso. That is where they started implementing their security strategies. So 2 days after removing the commander, we realized that they were then importing tax into the constituency. Buses, they were moving them. Fortunately enough, we were able to impound some of their vehicles and report.
Honorable, he's talking about the transfer. He's talking about the transfer of his police commander. And then he had mentioned you. What do you say? A few days to election, you transferred his police commander. Let's hear him.
Well, first of all, I continue to say a big thank you to God. I say so because we've seen other countries go through elections and the end is not good. We did say that Mr. President was clear in his mind that he came into office through a legitimate means, and so shall he do when he's exiting. Indeed, the President has kept his word. As for persons being transferred from their positions, I am an interior minister. I drive policy. I don't do operations. So you have to take up with the relevant authorities who do the transfer. I don't transfer people. Thank you very much.
Well, so that's Henry Quartey, an interior minister. He says he doesn't transfer.
Well, but you see, you don't expect Henry Quartey to stand in front of the cameras and say, hey, they that. But we are all politicians. He was the brain behind everything, But by the grace of God, we were able to identify some of them and stop them from entering the constituency. We reported, we used the law. We actually reported them to the police, and some of them had to come back to Accra and all that. But of course, some of them also were able to enter the constituency and then did what they wanted to do. But at the end of the day, the good people of Jaboso spoke, and they spoke in clear language. You can bring all the monies in the world into the constituency, but they know what they want.
Now, briefly, before you go, the health sector. The MPP was very heavy on the health sector, Agenda 111 and many other initiatives. What do you make of that? The former president and incoming president has promised that he will complete them, but that's a monumental investment. Is your party ready to complete all these projects?
Yes, that's what the flag bearer then, the president-elect now, has stated that position clearly, that he will continue any meaningful, uncompleted project. And so I trust him, Ghanaians trust him. We've given him the mandate, and I believe that he's just going to do that. Of course, right from day one, I had always made a point that Agenda 111 was a political gimmickry. I had always made this point that they were not going to see any 111 hospitals being constructed in the country. They were only going to attempt to construct some hospitals, and when it gets to the election time, they will tell Ghanaians that, look, we have started this project, and so give us the mandate to come and complete it. And so, a lot of those projects have been abandoned for a very long time. So we are going to go through the transition period and then know what, because we will have to make good use of the taxpayers' money. Because at the end of the day, it is the good people of this country we are all going to serve. So we will, as the president has stated, we will defend that and we'll make good use of the taxpayers' money.
All right. Just a quick word from Honorable Abu Salam.
So I can go now, right?
Yes. From the Lions Den. You were in the Ashanti region.
Yes.
You have returned.
Right.
Was it just luck or you worked for it?
No, we did work for it. If it was just for luck, it probably would have eluded us. But we had worked tirelessly for the last 4 years. And I think the amount of work we put in the last 4 years was what did the trick for us. Otherwise, on election day, at some point we thought we had lost the seat because of the sheer amount of money that our opponent had put in the election on the election day, and the vote buying that went on. But I think we're able to withstand it because of the work that we have done in the last 4 years.
Well, what's the promise, briefly, for your constituents?
Well, I think the larger promise is in what President Mahama and the NDC had put in our manifesto. So we'll be looking forward to the next government led by President Mahama and the various ministers that will be appointed to start implementing those policies and those promises in the manifesto. So that's what we are looking up to. The National Apprenticeship Program, for instance, resonated very well with the youth in my constituency, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that.
Well, Honorable Abdul Salam, a member of Parliament for New Edubiase. But of course, Lily, I know you want me to return to you, but Dr. Cameron Donko is here. Briefly, first of all, your assessment of what happened on Saturday, culminating into your side winning massively.
Well, it was the expression of the will of the people of Ghana, who had endured 8 years of uncaring leadership and arrogance by some appointees, not all of them. Some appointees had displayed insensitivity and arrogance and disrespect for the Ghanaian populace. So it was payback time. But also, Saturday was also the culmination of the NDC taking an election far more seriously than they have in the past in terms of their own electoral processes, the arrangement for security, arrangement for assurance of the electoral process. It was unprecedented, and therefore, but there is a critical question that Ghanaians have to ask. The NDC's margin, the presidential, only increased marginally by about 115,000. The MPP dropped by about 2 million. The question is, were these absentee voters, were these questions of ways and means, or a combination of both? And that is what I expect political analysts to really delve into. Is the electoral register really bloated? If the 2 million arose out of ways and means, it will mean the electoral register is bloated. And that is what I would.
Yeah. Briefly and finally, what kind of sector? You are an energy sector, energy and power. What kind of sector is former President Mahama and the incoming president inheriting?
Well, the energy sector is the Achilles heel of the Ghanaian economy. The indebtedness runs into billions of dollars. But that is not even the West. The West is the under-recovery, of course, in the energy sector. And the 24-hour economy is really going to run on the energy sector. If we don't have an energy sector that is robust, an energy sector that is trustworthy, an energy sector that has integrity, we are going to struggle. And I will expect that we'll put our best foot forward.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cameron Donko. So back to you in the studio.